Hi Aquarius, this is LunarticksTarot with a reading for anyone who identifies with the water bearer's energy during the second half of August 2018. So I won't bore you right now, probably ever, with any of my details on why I couldn't get a reading out for you sooner, Aquarius. But I did put a couple out for everyone. If you are specifically interested in a love reading, I put out a love reading for Leo season. I think it's called Leo Season's Love Notes, but it's not just for Leos. It's a pick a card reading, or pick a pile, stack, group of cards. I actually put different stones on the piles of cards. I think I called it Choose a Stone. Anyway, it's a love pick a card reading for Leo season if you're interested in love. If you are still reeling from the eclipse season, or specifically that final solar eclipse, I also put a reading out for that, for those energies. And I said in that reading that it was for the energies leading up to, surrounding, and following that event, so it might be applicable to the entirety of August for some. And it was specifically for the Leo energy, as it is Leo season, and is still for a few more days. But I had in mind not only that it was their birthday season and that the, solar eclipse during the super new moon was in Leo, but that we all, have Leo ruling one house or another in our birth chart. And you might want to check out astro.com if you are interested in all the energies in your birth chart, but you don't know about those yet. So, in any case, we are here now, and I do hope that this mid-month reading, that these mid-month messages are right on time for you, Aquas. Maybe you can relate to the chaos I've been experiencing a little bit. I am an Aqua Moon. Okay, we have the World in reverse representing you. I see no reason I shouldn't. Well, let me have it just a little bit longer, and then I'll face the reading towards you. Some of us are afraid of our own success to some extent. We're being perceived that way. We're communicating that to the outside world. We're coming from a place of waiting on something that we don't need to be waiting on anymore. Waiting on someone else, some outside energy to do some work for us or add to some work that we've done. when really there's nothing else that needs done, no one else needs to contribute. We just need to wrap up a cycle that we've been trying to finish, and maybe on our own, yes. And yeah, again, for some of us, it is related to a fear of success, but that's just for a few. For all of us, there's definitely a cycle that is not finished, is not completing. And it's because we are waiting on someone or something. Yeah, it's just, and it's, you know, the 9 of Wands and then the 10 of Wands, it's difficult work, but whatever this cycle is, you know, we're waiting on someone to help us because it's difficult work. It has to do with our spiritual development. I think it has a great deal to do with our emotional development, because subconsciously we feel like the King of Cups. Calm, mature, ready to be our own emotional help, counselor, aid in completing this cycle that we're talking about finishing. Very mature, able to observe our own and others' emotions and utilize that all but objective perspective. And the Queen of Wands shows up in the reverse as a clarifier. So I don't know how this translates precisely for anyone specifically. I'm not even sure how it applies for me yet, but I would guess it does. What with my lunar Aquarian, but it's as if, you know, our masculine it's actually a masculine part of us that has reached that mature, calm state that I was just speaking of. Completely capable of observing our own emotions and others clearly and taking that into consideration as we move diplomatically through situations. But there's a feminine aspect of us, and whether you're male or female, there's a masculine aspect of us that is as mature as I was just describing, and then there's a feminine aspect of us that is more passionate, more fiery. And it's probably why we began this spiritual journey that is incomplete at the moment to begin with. And yet it's also probably the part of us that's looking around and waiting for someone to assist us, which I think is really just a stalling tactic, because she is sort of flaky. May even just be drawing attention to herself. You know, sometimes she's crazy, but in this instance, and often, you know, she's, can seem that way just because, you know, she's not sure what she wants. So if you've achieved this new to you, mature and calm space where you can act as your own or someone else's counselor of sorts, you may not recognize yourself. And that can spook us and cause us to backtrack or drag our feet. And it can be a burden. It can be difficult to say goodbye to parts of ourselves that aren't actually beneficial for us anymore, but that we've grown attached to. That, you know, that's the case again specifically for some, but whatever the burden, there is a burden associated with finishing this. Again, I think it's a spiritual journey and completing this very significant cycle in our lives. It's different for everyone, but it's heavy for us all for some reason. And it looks like what we are met with is the opportunity to move on to calmer waters, to move on to a calmer state of mind, to allow our we have the opportunity to allow our perspectives to shift and take us away from this destructive, fiery energy that I was talking about. Possibly self-sabotaging, maybe. That might be what I want to say. But just so passionate that it boils over, is possibly temperamental sometimes, certainly just stops making sense sometimes. It maybe is influenced by the exhaustion of the weight of this burden. But again, we have the opportunity to shift our perspective and move toward a calmer state mentally, possibly a calmer state physically, certainly a calmer state emotionally, if mentally, right? Away from chaotic energies. If nothing else, certainly a chaotic states of mind, because it is at its root the perspective that it will shift at some point during the end of this month. And it feels like emotional fulfillment to us on a subconscious level. It feels like 10-10. On a subconscious level, that Six of Swords moving toward a calmer state of mind feels like this on a subconscious level to us at the end of August. It feels like shared emotional fulfillment and financial abundance and security all at the same time. And it looks like possibly the reason for the shift in the perspective has to do with financial loss or a loss of resources of some kind. Oh, well, I think actually it's about just shifting our perspective out of a lack mindset, most likely, for most of us. We weren't actually in a financial lack. We were just seeing it that way. And feeling like our resources were lacking, or our abilities and skills to bring in resources associated with bringing in resources were lacking, or feeling like our physical well-being, and so our ability to bring in resources was lacking, or anything like that. It's just seeing it from a negative perspective and seeing it as seeing it from the perspective of what we don't have, what we needed that we didn't have. I think that's what we're shifting out of. That's what we're moving away from. Maybe for some Aquarians that has to do with what we've been waiting on, like waiting on some sort of resources, possibly specifically funds, financial resources to complete some sort of cycle. And we don't need it. We just need some sort of very significant, burdensome cycle. And we don't need that help to complete the cycle. We just need to shift our perspective and see that we already have plenty of emotional and physical wealth. We are very rich. It is just a perspective shift away. Now, the advice, if any of this has resonated, the advice regarding all of this is to make peace. With yourself, if you've been at war with yourself about anything, Aquarians, but more likely, or just as likely, just as possible, I don't know why I said that, so maybe more likely, with anyone in your immediate world, you may have been, you may have been feeling like you had to stand up for yourself, your beliefs, this spiritual journey I'm talking about that you've been on, that we've been on, this cycle that you've been trying to complete, maybe in terms of trying to get these resources or get support of some type, whether financial or otherwise. You may have felt like you've been on the defensive for some reason, maybe related to that in some way that I can't see specifically, but the advice is to make peace with anyone that you've been either trying to rally in the name of your cause, trying to gain their support, who hasn't been able to help, or anyone that you've had to defend yourself against for whatever reason, you know, you don't necessarily have to offer an apology to just make and or keep the peace, right? That's just the advice that I see from, that's the advice that I take away from the Five of Swords reverse. And to fight, call a truce, make up, resolve a conflict, something of that nature. So it may mean an apology, you know, it depends on your specific situation. I feel like 10-10 may be significant for us, Aquarius. That's not, I don't know exactly what that means, but for them to fall out right on one another like that. Actually, we have 10-10-10. So I know 1-1-1 may sometimes, often points to the fact that your thoughts could be manifesting pretty immediately, so to be careful about what you're thinking. But this is 10-10-10, a little different. So you may want to look that up. If it's not significant to you, it might be. So the overall energy is the Hierophant reversed. So that could possibly be talking about doing something and not in the traditional way. That could be connected to not being able to gain these resources that some Aquarians may be waiting on, thinking that it's necessary or feeling that it's needed somehow in order to complete the cycle. There may be an untraditional route that you haven't seen yet or haven't explored yet. That allows you to do this without, to complete that cycle without those resources, for some of us. So this advice I gave you about making peace, not fighting, your pride and or jealousy or fear of someone else's pride or jealousy is what may cause you to not take that advice. Might cause you to block that advice. You may be correct in assuming that there's jealousy nearby. Still, the advice to us is to make peace. Certainly, let's not cause fights with those near us out of our own jealousy, pride, allow how good we feel about ourselves, our situation, what we have. Like I said, you know, emotional fulfillment and financial abundance and security is just a perspective shift away, really. just really hard to make that perspective shift for us, obviously. We're waiting for someone to help us better understand how to do it. or give us something to make us see what we already have. Something like that. But once we realize it, you know, let's not be obnoxious, let's not be inconsiderate to people who don't have as much or see all that they have. Now we have 4 tens. So now we have all 4 pentacles, cups, wands, and swords on the bottom of the clarifier deck now as well. So that to me is suggesting that the cycle we're talking about finishing, it's really burdensome completion, is possibly painful, and one that if you don't finish or complete, you're just going to repeat. It might be an Aries who you can't resist fighting with, that you feel like you have to stand your ground against. With the Fool showing up in reverse here as the clarifier on the sun. It may just be suggesting that, you know, pride and jealousy are some of our lowest vibrations and very foolish. Sort of ruins this 10 of Cups, 10 of Pentacles state that we certainly deserve after such a burdensome major completion. Another message that I see here with the Fool and the Sun is, you know, what good does it do you to be anxious about those who may seek to do you harm near you? Maybe some are jealous and they are looking for their opportunity to trip you, but anxiety just adds another obstacle to the mix. It doesn't help. Stress will only help you if you tell yourself, you know what, this is a superpower, this is my body hitting the overdrive button and reminding me to be on high alert. It's not bad for my body, it's helpful. And know then that you need hugs and support, and to reach out to people who you can get some sort of support from. And that could also be what we're talking about with the 5 of Pentacles. Like I was saying, you know, feeling like we don't have enough physically can lead to also feeling like we don't have enough emotionally. It can be one and the same. It can be that that's the kind of support that you're waiting on that you need. It is a spiritual journey that's looking to complete itself. If you have a teacher in that spiritual journey, the Hierophant in reverse suggests that that person may be unethical, insincere. It can be just, you know, nonconformist, untraditional. And following someone like that can lead to repeating that cycle potentially. a negative, painful one. And if you happen to be stuck on a matter of pride, on a matter of jealousy, or fearing, worrying about dealing with someone else's pride or jealousy, you know, do keep in mind that that's, like I said, that's keeping you in a lower vibration, but it's also keeping you narrow-minded, you know, focused on something so shallow, too. So I'm getting an advice, or I'm sorry, normally I use the Dreams of Gaia Tarot for an advice card, but in this case I want a future card for Aquarius, the aqua energy during the end of or second half of August 2018. So this is where this future card will be where you're headed by, where we're headed by the full moon. Interesting. You have the King of Cups here in your subconscious currently, and then the King of Water reversed in your future. Our future. Okay, so this is where we'll be around the I was going to say around the full moon on the 27th-ish of the month, or the end of the month or the beginning of September, but I think because of when it flew out, I really do think this is where it will be around the full moon in Pisces, I believe. So let's read about the King of Water's blocked position. Okay. When the King of Water appears reversed, he can represent a feeling of boredom. When he appears in your reading, ask yourself if you believe that your life is lacking excitement. Has peace and calm slowly transformed into boring routine? Maybe it is time to shake things up a little and to ride the waves for a while. You might need a little excitement and to be unpredictable and spontaneous. In your best interests, however, do seek a productive outlet for your excitement rather than looking for conflict or creating drama for drama's sake. That might destroy your peace and calm completely, instead of enlivening your life. The King of Water reversed also cautions against behaviors born of jealousy and a need to possess. If you have fears or concerns regarding a relationship, address them. Do not allow jealousy to fester. If there is a reason for concern and the situation cannot be resolved, then perhaps it is best to let it go. Remember, the person in question is not a possession. Allow them to leave if leaving is what they feel they must do, even if they leave in order to be with another. On the other hand, be mindful not to allow your own insecurity and imagination to drive a wedge between yourself and the one you love. Okay, so there's both messages there. For some people, you're right. They do want to explore the possibilities with someone else, and there's nothing you can do about that, and you have to let go. But for others of other Aquarians, you know, if that specifically resonated there, it's imagined. You can drive the wedge yourself between you and that person with, you know, what's going on in your mind. Okay. So, I do hope that you'll be leaving this with something that you didn't come to the reading with, Aquas. And if you need a personal reading from me, I have 7 reading options now to choose from, and you'll find those below in the description of the video. And you can also email me at LunarticksTarot@gmail.com. The free readings that I am still offering, I'm still taking requests for those currently. They're just taking me about a month to turn around. So expect a month of wait time on the free readings. Paid readings, however, in spite of everything, are still going out on time currently. So that's a plus. Those only take 3 business days. And the rushed readings that I'm doing now actually only take 24 hours. So, again, you'll find those in the description below if you're interested. And when you use those PayPal links, when you pay, you'll notice that it's connected to the business name Willow Growth. So don't let that throw you off. I do want it to say Lunarticks Tarot there. I'm trying to get that changed. But as far as the free readings, both the general readings like this one that I'm doing now and the personal free readings that I am still excited to be doing, just be patient with me through September as well. I am moving, among other things, and I'm really excited about it, but it's happening really quickly, last minute, unexpectedly, of course. So, like I said, the paid readings are still on time. And I told you at the beginning about the love reading I put up for Leo season and the eclipse reading I did. So those are options as well. Thank you to everyone who has supported the channel through likes, comments, shares, donations, reading requests. I really appreciate it, all your kind words. Thank you so much. And do please subscribe. Otherwise, I just want to say that I love you, Aquas, very much, and I will put up another tarot fix for you very, very, very soon.